Jobs once said, "You can never connect the dots looking forward, but you can only connect them looking backwards." So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. This speech is about 3 stories: connecting the dots, love and loss, and death. Steve Jobs was the head of one of the biggest technology companies of all time, Apple. He got fired, but Apple rehired him in 1996. He then came to Stanford University and gave his commencement address at 50 years old. He gave it at Stanford University, Palo Alto, California, on June 12, 2005. He was born on February 24, 1955, but sadly, he died of pancreatic cancer on October 5, 2011. Thank you. I'm honored to be with you today for my commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to college graduation. Today, I just want to tell you 3 stories about my life. That's it, just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should go to college, and so everything was set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. My parents were on a waiting list, and in the middle of the night, they got a call asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother later found out that my mother had never graduated from college and my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers, but she finally relented a few months later when they promised that I would go to college. This was the start of my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was as expensive as Stanford. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I had no idea how I was spending all the money my parents had saved their entire life was going to get me there. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I could stop taking classes that didn't interest me and take ones that did. Reed College at that time perhaps offered the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Because I dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. It was beautiful, historical, and artistically settled in a way that science can't capture, and I found it very fascinating. Again, you can never connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will always connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, your destiny, your karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Steve Wozniak and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the 2 of us in the garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, I hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. Apple's board of directors sided with him, and so at 30, I was out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone. It was devastating, but something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, and so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced of being a beginner again. Less sure about everything. The lightness where if you make a mistake, it's fine. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. I'm pretty sure that none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You gotta find what you love. And that is as true as it is for your lovers as your work. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied with it is to do great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, because you'll know when you find it. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like this: if you live each day as if it were your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. And this has made an impression on me for the past 33 years. I've looked in the mirror every day of my life for the past 33 years and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? If the answer has been no for too many days, I know I need to change something. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later, the doctor started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully I'm fine now. Death is not bad. Death is life's change agent, even though nobody wants to die. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you, but someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Death is the final challenge of life. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your intuition. They somehow already know what you want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called The Whole Earth Catalog. Stupid Brand and his team put out several issues of it, and then when it has run its course, they put out a final issue. On the back cover were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And I've always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.